Welcome to this deep dive. We're here trying to, get a handle on some of the hidden things that shape our lives.
The currents beneath the surface.
Exactly. And today, we're looking at this really interesting idea, thinking about our unconscious mind as, well, like a hidden house. Imagine that. A place inside us holding on to forgotten fears, maybe desires we don't even admit to ourselves. And even if we don't consciously go there, these rooms, they still affect us, right?
That's a very potent metaphor. This house, it really connects with what psychoanalysis calls the unconscious, the unbewusst.
Right.
And it's not just like a dusty attic for old memories. It's active, it's dynamic,
Mm.
full of unresolved stuff pushing on our everyday experience.
And that's the big question, isn't it? How can things we've maybe deliberately buried, forgotten, still have such a pull on us now, on our feelings, our choices? It's kind of a mystery under our own roof.
It really is.
Hmm.
And think about just the approach to this metaphorical house. You might get this feeling, right? A sense of unease, maybe.
Yeah, like something's there, but it's fuzzy. You can't quite see it clearly.
Exactly. That feeling itself can be a clue.
Yeah.
It often points towards what Freud called repression Verdrängung. It's like motivated forgetting. The mind actively pushes difficult thoughts or feelings away.
So it's not just, oops, I forgot. It's more like locking a door, slamming it shut maybe, and hoping what's inside just disappears.
That's a good way to think about it. But the key thing is repression doesn't destroy the memory or the feeling. It just relocates it, pushes it down into the unconscious.
Yeah.
But it's still there, still operating, often in, well, quite surprising ways.
And sometimes our bodies seem to remember, even if our conscious mind doesn't. Like you imagine getting close to that house and suddenly your heart's racing. Or your palms get sweaty, maybe you feel a little shaky.
That's a very astute point. Those physical reactions, they can absolutely be echoes of things we've suppressed, especially things from way back, from childhood.
Childhood fears.
Yes. As kids, the world is huge, often confusing, sometimes scary. Events that might seem small to us now could have triggered really intense fear back then, and our young minds just weren't equipped to, fully process it all.
Like being sure there was a monster under the bed, or maybe hearing grown-ups argue about something you didn't understand, but it felt bad.
Exactly, those kinds of things. Those early, sometimes irrational seeming fears can get lodged deep inside this house of memory. They find a room and stay there.
So how does that pushing away actually happen inside us?
Well, this is where Freud's model of the mind comes in handy.
Right.
You have our basic instinctual drive seeking pleasure, avoiding pain.
Right, in the impulsive part.
Then there's the ego, the mediator, trying to balance those impulses with reality and social rules. And the superego, our internalized conscious, the shoulds and shouldn'ts.
Okay.
When an experience is too much for the id, or clashes too strongly with the superego, the ego might step in and use repression to push it out of awareness. It's like an internal management decision, really, to keep things stable.
But those walls, those locked doors, they can't be totally foolproof, can they? Stuff must leak out sometimes. Like in dreams. Dreams are often so weird and don't make any sense.
Absolutely. The defenses aren't perfect. Freud actually called dreams the royal road to the unconscious.
The royal road.
Okay. When we sleep, the ego's guard is down a bit. So repressed material can surface, but usually in disguise. It gets all jumbled up, symbolic.
So the house itself might show up in a dream, looking strange maybe.
It could, yes. Maybe it's a confusing maze or it's falling apart. That might not literally mean your house needs repairs, but perhaps symbolize a feeling of inner instability, The symbols are more like emotional metaphors.
And it's not just dreams, though. You mentioned symptoms earlier. Things like phobias that seem to come from nowhere. Or repeating the same mistakes, that self-sabotage thing.
Yes, exactly. These symptoms can be seen as coded messages, expressions of those buried conflicts trying to find a way out.
So that feeling of unease near the metaphorical house, that could be a symptom itself.
It very well could. A signal that there's something significant, something repressed underneath that feeling. Think of, say, an intense fear of flying. It might not be about a bad flight, but could symbolize a deeper buried fear of losing control, maybe rooted in childhood.
It makes sense then that you'd feel reluctant to actually go inside that house, to open those doors. There'd be this natural resistance.
Yes. Resistance, wider stand, Freud called it. It's a core concept. And it's not just an obstacle we need to bulldoze through.
No.
No, it's actually a signal. It tells us we're getting close to something important, something the psyche has tried hard to protect itself from. So resistance is like a guardian, maybe a misguided one sometimes, but its intention is protective.
Protecting us from, well, not just fear, right? You mentioned desires too. Things we wanted but felt were maybe wrong, forbidden.
Precisely. The unconscious holds both. Things we were afraid of and things we deeply desired but felt we shouldn't. The id's drives, the pleasure principle stuff. Repression tries to bury anything that creates too much internal conflict, whether it's fear or desire.
Which is why dreams can be so confusing, I suppose, trying to mask both.
Exactly. Dream work, as Freud described it, involves things like condensation, where multiple ideas get packed into one symbol, and displacement, where the feeling attached to one thing gets shifted onto something else, something safer. It's all about disguise.
So the unconscious speaks in code, basically, and dreams are one way it talks. What about, you mentioned projecting feelings, transference. How does that fit with the house idea?
Ah, yes, transference Übertragung. It's crucial. We unconsciously project feelings and patterns from past relationships, especially early ones with parents or caregivers, onto people in our present.
Okay.
And we can do the same with this inner house. We might project feelings onto the house itself or certain rooms, or even the whole idea of exploring it. A particular dusty room might evoke feelings you had towards, say, a critical parent, without you even consciously making the link.
Wow. So you react to the room like you reacted to the parent?
In essence, yes. The feeling gets transferred. It's like meeting someone new and instantly distrusting them because they unconsciously remind you of someone who let you down years ago.
And the memories themselves, inside the house, they're not always neat little stories, are they? Especially the really early ones. Maybe more like fragments, feelings.
That's a very important point. Memories, especially traumatic ones, aren't always stored like linear narratives. They can be fragmented bits of images, sounds, physical sensations, strong emotions.
Just raw data, almost.
In a way. And these fragments can get triggered later in life by things that seem totally unrelated. Early experiences, even from before we had language, can leave really deep imprints on the architecture of this inner house.
So if you're trying to explore this house, there might be one room or one area that feels just impossible to get near, like the absolute center of the resistance.
Often, yes. There might be a focal point of resistance. It could be linked to a specific major event, or maybe, and perhaps more commonly, it's connected to a series of smaller, cumulative hurts or difficult experiences. It's the place where the defenses are strongest, the most heavily guarded secret, you could say.
And really going in there, dealing with all this, that's kind of the goal of psychoanalysis, right? Not just a quick look around, but a slow unfolding.
Exactly. Psychoanalysis is very much a process, a journey of gradual discovery. It takes time, it takes courage, and yes, a willingness to sit with the discomfort that inevitably comes up when you start to touch on this repressed material.
It sounds difficult.
It can be, but the aim isn't just digging up the past for its own sake. It's about understanding it and then integrating those insights into who you are now, finding more freedom, more self-awareness.
So this house, it might feel like a prison at first, holding all this difficult stuff, but exploring it, that could actually be liberating.
Precisely. That's the paradox. By confronting what's inside, by understanding the roots of our fears, the hidden desires, we start to loosen the grip of those old defenses. We see the patterns. And that awareness opens up new ways of being, new choices.
But just knowing isn't enough, is it? Like, okay, I understand why I keep doing X, but then I still do it.
You're absolutely right. Insight is vital. It's the first step.
Yeah.
But it's not the whole journey. Conscious effort is needed afterwards. You have to actively work to sort of rewrite those old scripts based on your new understanding.
Create new habits, new ways of reacting.
Exactly. Take the insights out of the house and apply them in your daily life. That's where the real change happens. Integration.
And this isn't like a one and done thing, is it? Clean out the house and you're finished. It feels more ongoing.
Definitely ongoing. The unconscious isn't static, it's vast. Exploring it isn't a task you complete like ticking off a list. It's a continuous process of discovery, really. As you change and grow, your relationship with this inner house changes too. New doors might open, or you might need to revisit old rooms with fresh eyes.
Maybe right at the very heart of it all, in the deepest part of the house, there are these core dramas playing out. Like shadows on the wall, projections of the really deep stuff.
Yes, that's a powerful image. In that inner chamber, you often find the fundamental conflicts, the core tensions that drive so much of our behavior. These shadows are often the parts of ourselves we've disowned or refused to acknowledge.
The bits we don't like.
Or the bits we fear.
And confronting them, It's not about fighting them or getting rid of them.
No.
No, it's more about understanding what they represent. It's almost like the unconscious itself is trying to teach you something, guiding you towards what needs attention.
So the confrontation isn't a battle. It's more like listening.
Listening, exactly. Listening to what these conflicts are trying to tell you. Often they highlight those deep polarities within us, like the need to be vulnerable versus the drive to always be in control, things like that.
And the insights, they don't always come when you're trying hard, do they? Sometimes it's just a flash.
Yeah.
A weird dream that suddenly makes sense, or a random thought that clicks everything into place. Precisely. They often arrive unexpectedly, spontaneously. A sudden realization while you're doing the dishes, maybe. And in those moments, you often see the duality really clearly. The fear you've been avoiding is tangled up right alongside the potential for real growth, real self-discovery.
So this whole journey into the house, it's less about finding neat, simple answers and more about learning to ask better questions, about understanding those internal conversations we're always having.
That's a wonderful way to put it. It is about provoking inquiry, deepening the understanding of all these complex forces shaping us from the inside out. It's rarely about finding one single, easy resolution. It illuminates the ongoing dialogue.
You know, just talking about this, I feel like the atmosphere around this house, this metaphor, it feels a bit different now than when we started.
Yeah.
Less menacing, maybe. There's almost a quiet confidence, like, okay, there's still a lot in there probably, but just acknowledging it. Being willing to engage, that itself changes something, brings some understanding, maybe even some peace.
That shift you're describing is really significant. It often happens. It reflects the beginning of integration. When the unconscious isn't totally unseen, its power dynamics shift. It becomes less overwhelming. Psychoanalytic work often has this rhythm, intense exploration, then periods of quieter reflection, letting things settle, assimilation.
And maybe there's a mirror in there somewhere, but it's cracked. And that's okay. It's not showing a broken self, but just a real one. Complex, imperfect.
Oh, I like that. A cracked mirror. Yes. It reflects the reality, doesn't it? We're shaped by life. There are marks, maybe some jagged edges. Integration isn't about becoming perfect or smoothing everything over. It's about embracing the whole complex picture, flaws and all. The house isn't something to escape, but to live with, to understand.
And when we step out of the house, maybe after a period of intense exploration, we're not leaving it behind for good. We're taking the knowledge, right?
Exactly.
But knowing we'll probably be back, we'll need to revisit. It's part of the journey.
Precisely. Leaving the house, in this sense, is more like moving from that deep internal focus back into everyday life. But you carry the insights with you.
Yeah.
You carry the awareness. And yes, you understand that self-discovery is, well, it's lifelong. The door remains open, in a way.
So this whole deep dive today really underscores that exploring our own shadowlands, our unconscious, it's not a finite project. It's an ongoing journey, isn't it? Always more depth, always more corners to turn.
It truly is. And it's through that steady, often courageous engagement with these forgotten parts of ourselves, through slowly bringing the conscious and unconscious closer together, that's where the potential for real deep transformation lies.
So maybe something for you, the listener, to think about after a conversation. What about your own house in the shadowlands of memory, if you were to just gently consider it? What new understanding, maybe just a flicker, emerges about yourself? What secrets might those unvisited rooms hold? It's definitely a question worth sitting with.